I sought out to build my best possible gaming PC for 400 Aussie dollars, but I actually did it for cheaper, and that wasn't without a few problems. In this video, I'm going to show you the building process and whether this whole thing is worth it or not. So for our platform, we've got an i5-9400, a Z370 motherboard, GTX 1060 and 16 gigabytes of RAM. And you might be wondering, why is this i5 that you're talking about not in the system? And I'm going to have to backtrack to the start of this build to explain why. For context, I managed to find a parts bundle consisting of an i3-8100, Z370 motherboard, GTX 1060, 8GB of RAM and a 650 watt power supply. Since this was such a good deal, I decided I would do a build around it. So we're going to just be taking apart our platform here and putting in a new CPU. Oh, look at that, it's brown. It's f***ing brown. Ew. That is disgusting. i3-8100. I can say the socket looks like it's in fantastic shape. The reason this whole thing is probably so dusty is because it's probably been never opened before, so I guess it's a positive if you want to look at it that way. So I'll put our new CPU in. While we're here, before we do our CPU cooler, we'll do our SSD and pop it in right there. Silicon power. Apply our thermal paste. Now that we've set up our platform, I think it's time that we can move straight into our brand new case, the Thermaltake V250 Air. Here it is. What I liked about this case was that it included 3 ARGB fans. It also has one rear fan but not ARGB, and it included an ARGB hub, so we could plug our CPU fan straight in since our motherboard didn't support ARGB. So now we're just going to go and put our motherboard in and we'll see how that turns out. I ended up having to get an IO shield because I was silly enough to not even ask or look for my motherboard's IO shield, so we had to buy one again. And there is our motherboard installed. Next, I'm going to be installing the graphics card. And that is our graphics card installed. We'll go ahead and do our power supply next. That's our power supply in. We'll make the necessary connections and we'll do our hard drive while we've got it right here. Nice little cage. We can slide our hard drive back in. And there it is, nice and easy. Okay, so we have finished our cable management. We had a lot of cables here which are for the pre-included fans, which are a bit more different. They're not your basic PWM plug-in or 3-pin DC plug-in. We had one cable that plugged in, it followed all the way up here, and we got our ARGB, which is plugged into our cooler, which goes all the way up there. So that's the finished look. We've kind of just bundled everything together here, and it's a bit of a mess here. However, on the front, it does look pretty good. So this is the complete look so far. You may notice I'm not using the RAM that I was originally intending at the moment. I'm just doing some troubleshooting because we did run into a few issues. Let me show you. The computer turns on all well and good. The RGBs have synced, so we got that look, which is very, very nice. And we've plugged in our little speaker. There's 1, 2. And that's what we're witnessing at the moment. So the computer is doing this on loop, and I've looked it up online, and 5 beeps means processor failure. And what I'm realizing is I don't think we updated the motherboard's BIOS. It can only support 8th generation at the moment. There it goes again. Because I thought we were having a RAM issue, but this 5 beeps is now telling me it's a CPU issue, which sounds just about correct. So we're going to go do a BIOS update right now. Okay, so we're looking for our BIOS right now. We've just found it. It's called F14 over there for the Z370HD3. And oops, I've downloaded the wrong thing. Anyway, just for a reference, here's the first release, and we can see at the F11th it is introduced support for 9th generation Intel Core processors. And we're going to need at least this to move forward. However, we're just going to update to the latest just for apparently vulnerability support. So we'll go ahead and install that update, and we're going to put it onto our flash drive and then pop it into the computer. Having a USB flash drive is all well and good. However, the system will not boot without this i3-8100, this 8th generation CPU. So we're going to have to go put that back in so that we can get a post out. Okay, we're going to turn the thing on now. We've got a stick of RAM in now, and we should be able to get a post out of this thing, so let's go ahead. That's a good beep. Let me just take you over. We're going to go press end. Oh, I missed it. Hold on. And guess who forgot to put in the flash drive? All right. The Q flash section. We want to update the BIOS. Yeah, I'm guessing this is part of what we need. Yep. So we're just going to let this sit. There we go. BIOS version F14, so we've got the update. Okay, so I think we're good to go now. And by the way, I know I got one system there. You may have seen this is my own system right here, by the way. I'm not trying to mislead anyone. I've got a little switch right here. If you see that, that just lets me switch between both screens. So it lets me do a little workbench over there that makes it a little bit easier for me, and then use my personal computer right now. As you can see, I'm filming what I'm filming right now. But just to make it clear, I'm not trying to manipulate anything. That was a genuine BIOS update. So now we can go put our 9th gen chip back in and get a post out of this thing. So let's do that. Now we're going to take out our heatsink so that we can put our correct i5 into this system. Now we've got the CPU fan on, we can go plug in our RAM again, and then we should go for a post. Okay, and that should be good enough to go for a post. Let's go for it. Here we go. No f***ing way. No f***ing way. No way. Alright. See what happens when we do one stick. I think these flashings that you see over in that region are not a good indication, just to begin first impressions. Wow. Wow. All right, we'll swap the stick. Here we go. Wow. Reset CMOS, see if it does anything. Okay, so a little bit has happened. I've done some troubleshooting. I took off the CPU cooler and found when I took the CPU cooler off, the speaker stopped beeping, but it was just boot looping like in a permanent cycle and nothing was happening. So I'm gonna just test once and for all if the CPU works or not. Because if you saw in my previous video, I tested it in this motherboard and we got a successful post. So let's just see what's happening here. It's a bad situation regardless because I really like that Z370. Power it on again. See if we get a post or not. Oh, look at this. What's it beeping at? The CPU works, man. Look at it, it's right up there. Oh my. So that motherboard is fried, but only when it's 9th gen because the i3 works. I'm really stumped here. I'm very stumped. Okay, well, we know the i5 works. I'm still happy about that, so that's okay. Just to make it abundantly clear, we have the i5 here. This is the i3. So i5 is in, and so it's not doing the beeping anymore, as I told you earlier. However, it is just boot looping the whole time. I'll just give you a run through so you guys can see what is actually happening. Nothing. Okay, so let's put the i3 back in. So i3 is in the house, i5 is out. Me dead. See, it posts. I'll quickly take this off just to show you guys. It gives us a post. I'm just going to turn this off because there's no cooler on that CPU. I've been doing a bit more testing off camera, and so we've got the i5 back in and it's just not working with this motherboard. The motherboard, for whatever reason, just does not want to take it, even though it'll take the i3. And we know the i5 works. We've tested it outside of this motherboard on a previous one and it works there. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to complete this build with the i3 8100. I know it's quite a weak chip. I do understand that. It's not ideal. I've never really wanted to do this because the i3 is pretty weak, to be honest. On the good side, however, that means that we can shave $60 off the budget of this whole build because the i3 came with the motherboard, with some RAM, you know, it came with that whole combo. We're going to go do the i3 swap. We're going to get this thing running, looking good, and then we can finally turn it on and just see how this system looks. We will apply some thermal paste that came with our CPU cooler. I hope that's adequate and I don't get flamed in the comments. And we can reassemble our fan. Okay. And this is the final boot to make sure everything works. There we go, that's it. The lights look pretty cool. So we ended up sticking with the i3 8100. The i5 9400 was simply refused by the motherboard. I was really confident that once I did a BIOS update, I really thought it was gonna work. And after that, when it just still flat out refused to work, I was worried the CPU was broken. So we tested that and the CPU actually wasn't broken. So it really just puts me at some confusion with this motherboard. With the i3, it is all working perfectly, no problems so far. I was originally going to flip this one, but now I don't really want to sell a computer with an i3. I sort of want to just maybe try find a new motherboard that I can put this i5 in, maybe do a separate build, or I'm not too sure. But to be honest with you, I'm very happy with how it turned out, especially with this case and the CPU cooler, all in that little RGB hub. I was quite happy about that. I'm just really disappointed by this motherboard, why it's refusing to support the CPU, because I believe we followed the troubleshooting perfectly. Like, we did everything we needed to do. We tested the CPU in another motherboard and it worked, and we've pretty much ruled everything out, but the motherboard will still work with a different CPU. And it's a Z370. It's not even like a weak motherboard either. So I'm really just stumped with this one. I don't know if anyone can help me indicate what the problem was with this. It'd be really helpful, but I'm just honestly stumped with this one. And this case actually came with the speaker, which I thought was the MVP. Since the case just had it, I just decided, whatever, just plug it in for fun. And then we're getting some beeps and the computer was not too happy at us. So yeah, I'm really just stumped about this one. the only positive thing I can take out of this is we did shave $60 off our budget by not using this CPU. So I can comfortably say, look, we've got a $340 computer here, 340 I believe, and it's quite cheap, but at the same time, you got an i3. But an i3 and a GTX 1060, like, that's not the end of the world. That's a pretty decent combo, to be honest. They'll work well together. So I think it just looks more the part than it actually does the part. You know, it's got 3 RGB fans on the front. That's been my build. I hope you enjoyed the whole process and bloody troubleshooting this thing. And thank you guys for watching. If you want to like and subscribe, please do so. I don't mind if you don't want to, that's okay. But I'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching.